it's now been 3 weeks since the presenter, comedian, greatly celebrated actor, model. Am I missing anything?
You missed multi-award winning.
Multi-award, so many awards. How could I forget all of them? Siv Ngesi disappeared off the face of the earth, not to be seen. We disappeared. We couldn't do this show. We vanished, all because some horrible results for the South African teams in the Vodacom URC understandably led you, I believe, into hiding, led you to just disappear off the face of the earth.
I just want to say, Squidge, it's been a difficult 3 weeks, but the only thing that makes me happy is the last 2 weeks of Welsh rugby in the Six Nations.
Squidge Rugby versus Siv Ngesi in Vodacom United Rugby Championship, North versus South.
Welcome, everyone. It's Vodacom URC, North versus South, Squidge Rugby and Siv Ngesi. It is the weekend review. Squidge, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. The North had a great time. Please give us an update on what happened this particular week of incredible rugby at the Vodacom URC.
I'm so glad you asked it. I'm so glad you asked.
I know.
Started
just for you, buddy.
We had the Scarlets put in like a season-defining performance, I think, against the Bulls. Absolutely enormous. You had Gareth Davis, who's been really out of form, the Wales scrum half, putting in a huge game, really deserved to score the try. Sione Kalamafoni, who we talk about the DHL Stormers. I reckon that Sione Kalamafoni carries more than DHL does in a year. He's unbelievable.
I take offense.
And then, the Scarlets just enormous, got the bonus point, secured it. Fantastic, their best performance of the season. You then had Dwayne Vermeulen getting on top of Evan Roos in the much anticipated battle, showing that there's no substitute for experience. Vermeulen just everywhere, all across the field. Roos, he's good. He's young. He'll come good. But he's not Dwayne Vermeulen. He's not a World Cup winning, almighty force.
But Mr. Squidge, there was a record broken, an incredible record that has been broken. What was it?
Yes. So Jack Carty broke Connacht's all-time top point scoring record in their game against the Lions, where he was huge. Him and Caelan Blade, the scrum half, had fantastic games. The two of them in those typical Connacht conditions where it is a nightmare to play, and it is cold, it is rainy, it is wet, it is horrible. No one knows that pitch better than Jack Carty. He put them into the right positions and he scored the points. He broke Connacht's all-time top point record. And that's been, that's going back 100 plus years. He's now the top point scorer ever for Connacht.
Okay, here's another thing. Vodacom Bulls started off very well. They were looking good, and something happened. What happened in that particular game? I watched it. I really felt like Vodacom Bulls was going to take it. Do you think the cold takes effect? Do you think the travel takes effect? Or do you think the peaking of the players getting ready for Six Nations is playing effect as well?
I think there's a big factor in all of those. Yeah, I think the conditions were huge. It was a really cold Friday night in Llanelli in West Wales, which is not the most tropical of conditions when you're coming from a South African summer. Very different swing suddenly to then, as you say, you've got these Welsh players who are, a lot of them, you had some players who'd gone already away with the squad, but you had a lot of them who'd peaked. The Welsh teams have really turned a corner around Christmas, all of them suddenly starting to perform far better. And you had a great deal of confidence, and the Scarlets knowing if they lose this, their chances of qualifying, their chances of winning the Welsh Shield, their chances of staying in contention were gone. Where I think the Bulls were looking at this as going, this is another game, we've got to go away, it's a long journey, we've just had a few big games in a row. And as you say, that kind of that wasn't the game they were targeting. They rested a few key players, whereas the Scarlets knew this was it. If they lost this, their season was potentially over.
Which you might think you have the featured match of the week, but I think I have it.
I know I do.
It, and it's officially. Are you ready? It is Vodacom Bulls versus DHL Stormers. I have an interesting stat. Do you know that DHL Stormers has not lost one game since 2021 against any South African team? And do you know that Vodacom Bulls hasn't lost at home in a year? And I have been to Pretoria. They say the chias is unbelievable. They say they serve the beer coldest at Loftus. They say the vibe is next level at Loftus. Me and you have to go watch a rugby game at Loftus. It's going to be a repeat of the Vodacom URC final. Why would your particular match be the featured match of the week if it's not even a revenge match or even mean that much?
Well, we have Glasgow Warriors against Ulster. And this, you might have a repeat of the final from last year, right? We have a repeat of the semi-final from 3 years ago here. And I think that is much more important. We have Glasgow...
Wait, please repeat that. Please repeat that comparison.
It's just a fact. Everyone knows that semi-finals from 3 years ago more relevant than finals from this year. It's a well-known fact. So we have the Glasgow team who are hot in form. They've won 5 in a row. They're doing incredibly well, but they've lost a lot of their players to Scotland. A lot of those players who've been part of the Scotland team, they've been so good in the Six Nations, were Glasgow players. The Hugh Pilotu combos, it's known, Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu, who've been playing incredibly well together. They're gone. There's quite a lot of their pack is gone. They're missing Jack Dempsey, their biggest ball carrier. And so it becomes a case of they've got depth. Can they use it? Can they take on this Ulster team?
For me, the battle I'm looking forward to is Old Moody at the wing versus Siabelis and Natla, who's back from injury. But we do have that nippy, the man who finishes every single try. He plays Springboks. His name is Arnsa. What a finishing machine. But as long as we have Gaza at the back, Gaza, Damien Willemse cannot be stopped. Springbok. That's him stepping. Utility back. Can play any position in the back line. Put him at wing. Put him at prop. He'll play the position. Damien Willemse.
I'd love to see him at prop. I think that's long overdue. Hooker seems like his natural position now. Gets a throw in as well. I'm sure he could do that. I'm sure he
can what? What did you say? He can what? He can what?
But if you look at that Ulster Glasgow team, I'm really excited to see there's going to be a bunch of young players. But some of them we've seen for Ulster already this season. You know, you've got the likes of Rob Little. You might have Mike Lowry back from Ireland as well. There's quite a few of that kind of back three that is so exciting to watch. And you've got a pack that's really starting to come good. And they've got so many of these players, you know, the Nick Timoneys of the world, who are outstanding club players and are going to really, this is the time which they stand up, when they're missing perhaps the Ian Hendersons, who are the bigger names, in which they stand up and they stand out. And this happened last year, this happens every year, where you have that core of really often nasty Ulster forwards who stand up and are outstanding when they really need them.
For me, Squidge, I've watched rugby all over the world. Loftus has the most amazing chias. People are friendly. They arrive early, like 9 o'clock. The game is at 5. They're having a braai. If you don't know what a braai is, it's a barbecue outside. So if you are in Pretoria, if you are in Johannesburg, make sure you get to Loftus and watch the most amazing game. It was last year's Vodacom URC final. It is Vodacom Bulls versus DHL Stormers. What a match it'll be. That's why it is our featured match. This particular one. Squidge, my favorite moment of the show, it is Vodacom URC predictions time. For me, the first match is South Sea Sharks versus Emirate Lions. What's your predictions, my friend?
Yeah, I think really tight game. I think the Lions will really turn up, but I'm going to go Sharks by 3.
For me, I'm definitely going with South Sea Sharks, and I think they're going to run them rampant after they are really a bit bruised after last week's DHL massacre. I say South Sea Sharks by 12. The next one is Vodacom Bulls versus DHL Stormers. What's your call?
This is the third biggest game of the weekend. I'm really excited. I think huge game from the Bulls incoming. I'm going Bulls by 8.
I'm going all the way DHL Stormers by 6.
And yet the Bulls haven't lost at home in over a year.
And DHL Stormers hasn't played in Pretoria in over a year. So I think that balance
we
is
realise
up.
this is going to be a draw, isn't it? This is going to be a draw.
All right. If you're watching this and you are in Pretoria or Johannesburg, make sure you get to Loftus and watch this featured match for Vodacom URC. And make sure you go to Ticket Pro and get your ticket. It's going to be a humdinger of a match. In the north, it's Munster versus Ospreys.
I think this is a really exciting game. Both teams had terrible starts to the season, have improved enormously in the last kind of couple of months, both coming into real form. So I think this could be a really tight game. If I've got to pick a winner, I will bet against my own team and say Munster by 1 and hope I'm horrendously wrong.
All right. I'm for once going to agree with you. I'm going with Munster's going to win it, and Munster will win by 2 points. Warriors versus Ulster.
Yeah, I think Glasgow Warriors have got a really deep squad. They've been going really well at home. They've been winning a bunch on the trot, even though they're missing a lot of players of Scotland. I think we're looking at Glasgow Warriors by 4 points.
I watched the Six Nations, and Scotland rugby is really on a rise. I am going Warriors by a good 12. Another action-packed episode of Vodacom URC North versus South. I just want to remind you, Squidge, that the tally is North 12, South 21, and 1 draw, my friend. How are you feeling about that one?
I think the tide is turning. I think things are turning around. I think you've got the majority of your points in the bag now, and we're going to see this look very different when we come to the end of the season.
Oh yeah. See you next week, my brother.
I can't wait. I'll see you then.